Welcome to this episode of the Thriving Artist Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kaylan, and I'm currently eating hard-boiled eggs and almonds as my work week snacks because I'm trying to get a little bit more protein in my vegetarian diet.
I'm Jamie Smith. I'm your second host, and my recent studio and work snack has been bubbly water and apple and cheese. Does all the things. We got sweet, we got salty, we got bubbly water.
Love it.
We are so excited to dig into today's episode, talking all about taking up space and empowering you to let your art career be a big part of your life.
Yeah, because I think for many of us, Jamie, as artists, we often feel beholden to put our art careers on the back burner or low on the priority list before other things in our lives. It can be really hard to muster up the courage to give our art careers time, attention, resources. We often wait for others who maybe are artists or who aren't to tell us that we are artists before we actually believe it ourselves. We wait for gallerists or curators to give us space to exhibit our work, for these gatekeepers to give us opportunities. And there's this big myth out there in the art world that we aren't a quote unquote real artist until we are discovered by somebody, right? Until somebody else tells us that we are an artist and gives us sort of power and a platform. And all of those things just don't have to be true.
And that's what we're fighting against. I feel like the work we're trying to do, Kaylan, and that the community we're building is to allow a place to feel empowered that doesn't have to be in a space where there is some sort of form of gatekeeper. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think it's all about taking up space in our own art careers. And then our hope and our belief and what we've seen is that this helps take up space in all aspects of our lives. Yes. And the world, because we need to take more space there, ladies.
Yes, we do. So here are our 5 ways, or kind of 5 ways to get you started thinking about taking up more space as an artist in your life.
So our first step, our first idea here is that we want you to declare it. Call yourself an artist. Carry the title boldly. I know that this can take a bit of practice. It's like building a muscle, but we need to claim and acknowledge our identities as artists before anyone else that we want to do it will do it for us. It has to hold weight in our own world to make it out into the greater world. So you are an artist. It is important, and the beautiful work you're doing in this world is needed. So introduce yourself as an artist, talk with people about your life as an artist, and get it to the point where you know in your bones that you are one, and that will carry you through. So Kaylan, I know that you're very passionate about this. You have actually created a whole course about feeling empowered as an artist, and that's coming up.
Yeah, so the course is one that I've created with my partner who has led Wearing All the Hats with me, Isadora Stowe. Isadora and I are co-leading a 3-week course coming up called Time, Space, Agency, and Empowerment. And the goal of that course is to give you tools and resources to take up more space in your life and to have more agency and a stronger voice for your art career. So to learn more about this course, you can head to thrivetogethernetwork.com for the full course details and to see how to enroll. It's a 3-week session running Wednesday nights from 8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern on these 3 dates only: November 2nd, November 9th, and November 16th. Thanks for the reminder to share about the course, Jamie. Let me move us into our second way that we want you to let art take up more space in your life. This is to commit to it, and you're going to commit to it through time. I know this is a simple and probably obvious one, but isn't it so true that where we put our time and our resources is where we see the most fruit, right? Where we put the most energy is where we get that reward. Art careers are truly a labor of love, and they take a lot of labor and they take a lot of time. Where can you squeeze some more time out of your day or your week for your art career? Maybe it's getting up an hour earlier. Maybe it's dedicating one weeknight or a Sunday afternoon, maybe switching around your other work schedule. Time can be a sensitive topic because it is such a big resource. It's something that many of us feel like we don't have enough of. But if we want our art careers to be important to us, we really do have to give them time.
Mhm. And saying that, if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time, maybe you're a parent or you have a full-time career and you're juggling your art, we totally understand you have a lot on your plate. The amount of time you spend on your art doesn't legitimize it or legitimize you as an artist. You still need to, bring that forth that you are an artist and there are seasons around your time. But when we think about, making this commitment and spending more time to our art, think about ways that we can ask for help, rearrange our schedules. And, there's always going to be time management problems in our life, whether this is art related or not. And so it's always just kind of checking in with yourself and making sure that you are giving it time when you can. And number 3, I wanted to move us right along. So to take up more space in your life is to give it real estate. So this can look different for everyone. Just like thinking about the time we have for this, what is the physical space and resources that we can give? And we know that this is in flux at different stages of our life. It's going to vary from artist to artist. But it's something to talk about, is that art making does take physical space.
Yeah, it's true. It fluctuates, but we can't deny that giving your art career some kind of physical space, giving it real estate is so important. So whether that is a desk drawer of supplies that you open and close when you want to work, maybe it's spending $200 a month on a shared studio rent in your downtown. Maybe it's converting your garage to be a home studio for you, which means sacrificing some of that space for your family. It can look like a lot of things. It probably looks different for every single artist out there. But your art practice does need physical space. You, as an artist, need physical space to process your work, to think, to move, to be present. Even if you're somebody like a digital photographer who you mostly just work on your computer, you need space to print out your work, to hang it on a wall, to look at it, to be in the space with your art, right? So no matter what kind of artist you are, I really think this holds true that we need to give our art some real estate, some physical space.
And Kaylan, I've heard you talk about before that you and your family have always been committed to making sure that you had some physical space. And even before the career really demanded that of you, I find that really inspiring to hear.
Yeah, so it's one thing that we just kind of have always done, my partner and I, when having conversations around my art career and me wanting to commit to being an artist. It's just something that we always had at the top of our priority list, was making sure I had space for that physical space, whether that was a guest bedroom in our home that I kind of used half of that room to be my studio, or it was renovating our garage or building a studio, lots of different phases that we've gone through. Granted, I've always lived in places that are pretty low in terms of cost of living. So maybe it's been a little bit easier for me to kind of prioritize giving my art practice physical space. But I think no matter what your financial situation, no matter what the cost of living is, you can still make it a priority.
I agree. I live in a expensive place, West Coast Canada, and oftentimes it's been part of my kitchen table or a separate little area within my house, and then sometimes it's been out of home spaces. And to be honest, I think there's pros and cons to both.
Mhm.
And definitely one or the other isn't necessary to be an artist. but it does really help to make sure that you have some space put aside. Number 4, to take up more space as an artist in your life. And I love this one so much because it's something I struggle with, and it's to let it grow. So what we mean by that is having this growth mindset and realizing that, it's about progress and it's about the development of our practice. I can get really caught up in the goal or in the thing that I want. And I just loved how, Kaylan, you had talked about this growth mindset. So yeah, please explain this.
Yeah, so I love this one. Basically, one way to expand our careers and allow them to take up more space in our lives is to allow them to take up space in our brains and to remain mentally encouraged and positive and have a growth mindset about our careers. So we want you to think expansively. We want you to think passionately about your art. We also want you, I think part of this growth mindset is also accepting your failures and not taking them personally, but just saying, yes, this happened. This didn't go as well as I thought it would, but it's a part of my journey and I'm not going to let it, get me down or let it change my outlook of who I am as a person, let alone as an artist. I think part of having a growth mindset is committing to education and always kind of being on this path of bettering yourself, of learning more, not kind of getting stuck in old ways and never, pursuing new ways of doing things or of learning. I think also part of having a great growth mindset is investing in the success of other artists around you, right? Like being part of an ecosystem and, giving nourishment to other artists and hopefully getting that nourishment back in return. You can think of yourself as a plant, right? You want your plant self, your art life to be healthy so that it can flourish and grow and take up more space. And I think that, that health really comes from having a good mindset around your art practice and around your identity as an artist. So we want you to take care of yourself so that you can have a good, solid, positive growth mindset about your art career and your life as an artist. And that'll help you take up more space as an artist in the world.
I love that. We have our physical space, our time space, we have our mental space. And another on the vein of this physical space is number 5 tip for taking up space in your own art and your own life is to exhibit your work. So exhibit it. And this is really important because this is physically taking up space in this artist role, in this artist mindset. And it's about showing up in the world to say that this is the work I do. It's so important to our culture that artists exist. And I know it kind of feels like I feel like this often that our culture actually does not create of an environment where it feels like we are valued. But we know the importance, because we've all felt it, of going to a gallery, seeing an artist's perspective at a certain time in history and in contemporary times, the influence we have for change, the beauty we can bring into this life, and the impact we can make. So we want to be part of that. We encourage you all to be part of that by exhibiting your work and really showing up for yourself.
Yeah, I think along with this idea of exhibiting your work, being connected to being cultural producers or being, kind of part of like a larger narrative, I also think it really is influential on the personal level. We believe that showing your work does so much for you, for your heart, for your mind as an artist. When you take your work out of those dusty corners in the studio and you see it dolled up and you present it to the world, it's a moment of pride. It gives you momentum. It helps you see how powerful and beautiful the work is. And then another thing that I think exhibiting your work does is it really helps you build community. So again, like another aspect of taking up space is that you're forming these connections. You're connecting to a wider network of artists and of art appreciators. And we believe in this idea so much that we give the artists in our network, in the Thrive Together network, the tools and encouragement to exhibit their work. It's one of our initiatives called Taking Up Space. It's very connected to this
Yeah,
episode.
funny how that works, huh?
Yep. And what Taking Up Space is it's a grassroots female focused community global art exhibition. So once a year, our network members are asked to take up space and exhibit their work in the month of May or sometime around May. Some of the shows have been in April or June. This project launched in 2022, and there were over 80 exhibitions that were shown because of this initiative, because of just the prompting and the support from the network and the encouragement from the community. And we are just really excited for the next round of shows that are going to happen in 2023.
And one thing I'm really proud of with this initiative is that we're asking members to show up for themselves and for their artwork. And so we wanted to provide resources and guides to do that. I think it can feel really lonely out there in the world, just standing beside your art. But what was so neat about this initiative is that because there were 80 shows happening in the same month, people felt so connected and so brave. And so and to support all of that is that we have tips and we have resources about promoting your work, promoting the actual show, your work, documenting, creating a press release, and more. And then an unexpected thing for me, Kaylan, I don't know how you saw this all going, but we had so many members collaborate, host group shows with each other and also in their communities. One presentation we saw, because we have a little debrief where members can show what they did. I think they had 35 women in their community in that show we saw.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And those people, were brought together because of this. So there's a lot of ripple effect by showing your work and by getting involved, even if it's a group show, it's a solo show, that doesn't matter. It's about, taking up space. So I'm really proud of this initiative we do. It's feeling a lot like a movement, which are my favorite thing. And I really think that whether you're a seasoned artist with lots of experience, or you're an artist that had never exhibited their work, which we had so many of,
yes,
this initiative, this experience of putting on a show in your own terms, taking up space the way you want to, is so powerful. So all of that is on our website, thrivetogethernetwork.com, Taking Up Space Initiative. And we actually have all our resources on the network, but in January, we really put it out there and say, are you committing?
yep.
And that's the big moment to just say yes. I recommend just saying yes. And then May, we get to see everything that comes together.
Yes, it's
very exciting.
So much momentum. And again, just one of the ways that we want you to think about letting your art career take up more space in your life. But, really, I think a question that Jamie and I have often asked the artists in our community, or a question that we ask ourselves, is who is going to give us this space? Who's going to, give us these opportunities if we aren't even willing to give our art careers space in our own lives, right? We have to be willing to want to give our art time, space, resources. And we hope that this episode encouraged you on some ways that you can allow your art career, your art identity to take up more space in your life so that you can feel like a more empowered artist.
Thank you so much for joining us today. As always, Kayla and I, we are here for you. We are cheering you on, and we believe in the work you are doing as thriving artists.